Hi there, James. So we just heard from Julian Assange's legal team. What do they have to say?
Well, as you said, Julian Assange is now on the way to the airport, and that ends really what has been over a decade of very aggressively hard-fought legal cases against his extradition to the mainland United States. Today in court we heard very early in the proceedings that Julian Assange was going to plead guilty to one charge under the Espionage Act, but he still had a little bit of defiance in him. He explained that he thought that the freedom of press and right to free speech that's enshrined in the UN's Constitution, that did not go well with this Espionage Act. They were a contradiction. Nonetheless, he agreed that fighting this argument in court would have been very challenging and very difficult. So he's picked essentially the lesser of two evils here, to accept this early plea deal. Sorry, not early plea deal, it's been a long time, but accept this plea deal, which the judge accepted and said that he is now being sentenced to time that has already been served in jail. She noted, the judge, that Julian Assange, two factors were at the front of her mind. One, had she seen Julian Assange back in 2012, she would not have necessarily agreed to this deal. But with the passage of time, A, he has spent 5 years in a very harsh British prison, and B, that it's clear now that no harm has been done to any individual as a result of his actions. So she said, given this information, she was happy to accept the plea deal that he would be sentenced to time already served. So just a moment ago, he left the court here and he's on his way to the airport now, officially a free man.
So you were there when he appeared. How did he seem?
He seemed calm and quite collected. This has been a big moment leading up for many months now, and there was even a little bit of jubilation certainly towards the end. Once the judge left, he hugged his supporters and spoke to them as well. And then, as we've just heard from his lawyers outside, they're still fighting that and still arguing that really they see these charges as unfair. They're saying the United States has charged an Australian man for an alleged crime, they say, that wasn't even committed in the United States. They're saying this is overreach, and they're hoping this is the first and last time that a journalist faces these types of charges. So even though Julian Assange has officially admitted guilt and he's now a convicted felon, they're still arguing that this is really just, I guess, the lesser of two evils of, that he is still a journalist who has been charged, and that is wrong, and they don't accept that the United States should have pursued this action against him in the first place.
We're getting live shots from Saipan Airport now. James, can you just give us an idea of the geography of the island? How far is the courthouse from the airport? How long will that journey take? And do we know what happens when he gets there?
It should only be about 15, 20 minutes. I don't think it'll be... It's certainly not a big island, that's for sure. So it should only be about 20 minutes, maybe half an hour. It's quite interesting because this, there's been a lot of attention about why Saipan. Why is this huge case, one of the most anticipated court cases in recent years, being done on the island of Saipan, a population of about 40,000? Well, first of all, the judge acknowledged quite early that yes, this is still US territory. So that's one reason. This is still part of the US, and she just wanted to acknowledge that early because she said often people overlook that this is part of US territory. But fundamentally, the reason this place was picked was that it is close to home for Julian Assange. He can go back to Australia very quickly. And there was also a lot of talk before this that Julian Assange and his legal team were concerned, had he gone back to mainland United States, he might have faced the death penalty, something that US government has denied. But that was really concerned. Now, because he was charged while he wasn't actually in the United States, that's when these charges were laid down, he was overseas in the UK, that this is really the first kind of port of call for him to enter the United States. So that's another reason why it can be heard here. This is the first time he's stepped foot on US soil since the charges were brought against him as well. So that's another reason why it could be heard at this court in Saipan.